Ted Pomianek. I was born in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. I was born in 1924, January 1st, and I'll be 93 years old the next January. My father,
Yeah.
he was a coal miner in Luzerne County, Pennsylvania. He worked all his life there. He came from Poland as a young man. He couldn't get a job. Naturally, none of the foreigners could get a job at that time. I think he came over here in 1912. He died when he was 65 years old, which was the same year I got married. Oh, we lived in Wilkes-Barre. Yeah, all our lives, we all were born and raised there. We had a big family, 7 kids. So, and I was about the middle. They're all dead now except me and my brother and sister. But that's the way it goes. Yeah. I joined the Marine Corps in June of 1941, immediately after graduating from high school. I went to Paris Island for my basic training in the Marines. Now at that point we were not in a war, but it was brewing. Everybody knew it was going to happen, and it did. So in December, when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, that's when we knew we were going. I can't even, the only place I could have been would be in camp, because it happened during the night, or real early in the morning over there, so it was before that when the news came over the wires here, you know. But I probably was still in bed. I was a telephone linesman. That was a hard job. Lugging those reels with wire on them, they weighed 40 pounds, and going through the jungle was not easy. That's what I did most of the time. You had to climb trees to get the lines out of the way of the tanks that would come along. They'd chew up all the wires. Then we'd have to get more wires through there. In other words, you went through the routine of basic training. Then you went to, like I went to Quantico to telephone lineman school. Learn about telephones. They weren't like they are today. They would crank it up, you know. So a lot of people say, well, I want this and I want that. Not in the Marine Corps, you got where they told you to go. So it wasn't that bad, but not at that time. And we did some routine training. We went up to Virginia for practicing landing and things like that. What they call maneuvers. Okay. Yeah, we went by train from North Carolina all the way along the southern to Texas and Arizona. And I never seen anything like that in my life. I was just a kid. You understand? And I couldn't believe the people there that we went to the station. Every so often they would stop the train so we could exercise, you know. It took quite a while to get from North Carolina to California, but we managed. And I don't even remember how we ate. I'm sure we didn't eat in a dining car. We had a mess gear, and they put some food on it, and we'd have to eat it that way.
Yeah. How did you sleep?
Sleep just had bunks in there. But that's another story. When you get to the others, when we get to a little further, I'll tell you about that one. From San Francisco, you mean? Yeah, from San Francisco, we went directly to Wellington, New Zealand. Nobody ever heard of the place, either did I, but it was a beautiful country. But we were only there 3 or 4 days. I can't even remember, maybe 5 days. We stayed on the ship, and we were working all those hours. Everybody was working, transferring gear and supplies from one ship to the ships that were going to be in the invasion. That was hard. We did a lot of hard work at that time. And I don't think we even had time to eat. But what are you gonna do? We were on our way up to the islands where we were getting invaded, but in the meantime we stopped in a couple of islands for practicing unloading again, down the landing nets and ladders. So that's what we were doing until we went on our way to Guadalcanal. Absolutely, it was hot. Yeah, and there was a lot of rain too. It seemed as though it rained every single day about dusk. You know, in the evening, we had a lot of rain, heavy rain. Oh, it was nice to begin with. We were that was on Guadalcanal. That was on our way to. When we left the islands, we were practicing to go to Guadalcanal. The day of the landing, of course, the Japanese were coming over with their planes, real low, right along the ship, dropping bombs, and there was I don't know how many ships were sunk at that time, but there were some. But there was no problem in landing. We went. It was peaceful. It was nice. There was no Japs around or anything at that time. At that point, they were in the woods. They were hiding.
Were you afraid of that when they were when they were dropping the bombs? Were you afraid?
Well, I don't know. It never happened to me before, so what you got to be afraid of if you don't know anything about it? Yeah, I know it wasn't easy. Those Jap planes were coming so close and dropping bombs or torpedoes, and you could almost see the pilot in the plane. That's what they were swooping so low. You had to go down this net. It was a heavy, woven of heavy rope, and we had to get down, you know, and it's not easy. It looks easy, but it's not, because those things were moving all the time, you know. And we got in a landing craft and we went ashore. But once we were ashore, everybody had a job to do, and the Japanese had an airport under construction. That's why they took Guadalcanal, because of that air base. And so they put my outfit, on the opposite side of the under construction airport. And so everything was okay. Everything was all right, but now the Japanese had control of the air and the sea around there. From that time until we left. They used to harass us by putting planes up at night, you know, just to scare you and make you jump out of the out of the foxhole. And in a daytime and at night, the ships would come down, and I mean they had big warships. We were ashore, and we could see them shooting at each other. I mean, firing at each other. The United States in that time lost 4 heavy cruisers that one night. That's a lot of ship, and that was practically half of the fleet. But and then the Japs continued that every night. They'd 100 miles up their coast. They would dock their ships, unload all the equipment and the men, and they would go in the jungle and then work downward, down toward where we were, down near the airport. Everybody wanted that airport. And of course, then you had a problem. How are we going to get food to those guys? We had a hell of a time eating. You know, we eating Japanese food, rice and stuff like that, you know. Nothing good. And that went on for quite a while. Didn't have anything to eat. We had to dig holes, foxholes, but we had a big one because instead of digging a lot of little ones, they said, dig a big one. So we had one with about 6 or 7 guys in it. And then as I said, the Japs used to shoot those 18-inch shells. Right, they knew where we were and they were shooting right over the airfield. And we had big trees in there, and they were exploding the trees, and they were shooting, coming down, all that shrapnel. And so we had these big foxholes. I'm telling you, and they were hard to dig out too. But anyhow, everybody used to be surprised. Like they say, there are no atheists in foxholes. That's the truth. Guys were praying, they got their rosaries out, and this used to happen often.
What were you doing?
Huh? Well, I don't remember well, I guess I was the same way. I said it to myself though.
Did you have rosaries?
No.
You didn't have
No, I guess I had them, but I didn't take them down to the hole with me. I left them wherever I was sleeping. Mm-hmm. So. Oh yeah, they had the airfield. They kept working on it, and the Japs come in and bomb it. You know, they'd have to be doing it again. Because Japs had the control of the sky and of course the American planes. They used to go up there every afternoon. The Japs would come down with a fleet of planes, bombers. Boom, bombing the airfield, and we were not far from the airfield. You know, they'd come in bombing us too. Son of a bitch. But yeah, we had a lot of heroes at that time from Guadalcanal. We used to watch them dogfight. Yeah.
What does that mean?
Fighter planes fighting each other. You know what they said? I don't know how true this was, but I believe in what kind it is. The first flight into Guadalcanal from New Zealand or Australia was nothing but toilet paper. Yeah, and it was like wax. Yeah, really, it was wax paper. Well, we landed on August 7th, and we left there, I'd say December 1st. When we left Guadalcanal, after we secured the place, the Army took over. We got on a ship, a couple of ships, and they took us down to Brisbane, Australia. And there was too much, it was too hot up there, and there's a lot of diseases. So they put us on a boat. The whole division was on this ship. It was either the United States or the USS America. I can't remember now. But they are both huge ships, and they were up to date. And when we were on that ship, the whole division, that's a lot of people. So we were sleeping in shifts, in a swimming pool and on a deck, you know. And the swimming pool was no water in it, naturally. But there was a lot of people. It was only 3 days from Brisbane down to Melbourne.
Wow.
So we had nothing to eat but mutton and rabbit. We used to get a rabbit for food, you know, for our mess halls. And mutton and sheep tongue. Part of the time, believe this or not, they were bivouacked in Melbourne, the big stadium there in Melbourne, where they had all of tennis tournaments and all. We used bivouac, and they had beds, not beds, some kind of mattress laying down on the steps. And I don't even know if you had to go down below to get to the head or to the mess hall, but that wasn't too bad. The food was pretty good, but did a lot of training there though. And then after that, we went to New Guinea. That was then because we did all that training because we were going to the next island, which was New Britain Island. Japanese had a big, one of the main bases for the South Pacific was there. Pavuva was where it was a little island after we finished. That was the what would you call it? The recuperation area for people coming out of battle. Like we from Peleliu, we went to Pavuvu, and from New Britain we went to Pavuvu until the next invasion. Anyway, we every time we dropped hit an island, we went back to, because that's where we had everything set up for us to recuperate and get some relaxation, but no fun. And so it used to rain. We had the beaches were beautiful, you know. We'd go swimming almost every day. It was nice. The weather was nice. 1942 is when we landed on Guadalcanal. Then the next one was 43, was New Britain Island. And that's 43. I guess the end of 43 is either late 43 or early 44 is when we hit Peleliu. That was a very bad situation there. We made a landing. I never seen so many ships in my life. And there was nothing really. They say that was unnecessary for we lost 5,000 troops on that island. And it was bad because they were dug in caves, and it's all coral. And you know, coral is hard as a rock. Hard as a rock. Anyhow, we had Amtraks. You know, they go in the water. It's like a tank, and then we had the boats going in, and the Japanese had the coast all covered with artillery. And it was tough. The guys were floating out there in the water, running. They were getting run over by these Amtraks, because you know when you just want to get ashore. So we got ashore, and I landed up in a big shell hole, and I was, you know, just relaxing in there, and I picked something up, and it was a guy's finger. Can you imagine that? We ran into a pillbox, Japanese pillbox, which is one not far from the shore where we landed. And then a couple of Japanese came out shooting. And one came out and he threw a hand grenade, and that's when I got hit in the back and in the side. And there was a tank of our own in the vicinity. We called him over and he put a big shell into that pillbox. That was the end of them. But in the meantime, I was shooting some of these Japanese coming out of these foxholes. So it was bad for them too. But that was a bad place. A lot of casualties. Peleliu, P-E-L-E-L-I-U. See, you're not of the age. That was a bad situation. But they said they were taking that so we could take over the Philippines. But they took the Philippines without using that base. So that's the story.
So were you hurt at that point?
No, I'm just some blood and some Japanese. I still got a piece of shrapnel in my shoulder from that. In here and in my back a little bit. Yeah, I got two of them as a matter of fact. You know, they didn't tell me. You know how they notified my parents? A letter. They said he was sick. But you probably heard it from him by now. But that's about all they said. And they sent the Purple Heart. That's right. They sent the Purple Heart with that letter. So, but that was it. So I finally came home after 30 months over there. And, oh yeah, while we were on Guadalcanal, I had malaria, and that's a son of a gun. Boy, you feel terrible. And they couldn't. They said you're supposed to be evacuated because all serious cases they would send out to Australia for care. They couldn't get me out because the Japanese had control of the air. Oh. So that evidently that malaria stayed with me until we got back to San Francisco. We got back to San Francisco, and right away they put us on a train and taken us down to San Diego. So I got to San Diego. I'm gonna go home tomorrow or the day after, and I get a relapse of this malaria, and I shiver like you're gonna die, and it's a terrible feeling. So finally I didn't turn myself in to get treatment because I know they'd put me in a hospital and who knows how long I'd be there. And I wanted to get home. So, but after a few days I got better and I got home. I went home. That was in January 45. That's right. What? How long was I working?
How long were you home then?
Well, I was home for 30-day leave, and then I was transferred to Earl, New Jersey. It was a naval ammunition depot, and I was corporal of the guard. And what we used to do, it was a munitions facility where the ships would come in, get loaded, and with all these longshoremen from Brooklyn, they'd come down here and work. And so our job was to search all these guys and keep them from fighting and drinking. That's what they had a little train going from the shore all the way out to the dock, which was quite a ways, maybe a mile, down a little train that took them out there. That's what we did there. And then after that, I was transferred to, I don't know why they transferred me. I was transferred to North Carolina. Well, I guess they were getting ready to send guys overseas again because my time was up, and that's when they were going to, where did they go, Hiroshima? No, not Hiroshima. Okinawa. That was the next big one. That's right, they were getting me ready for that, and then a little while later, the war was over. I was one of the first guys discharged because my 4 years had expired in June. So I was paid off right away and went home. And did nothing. I didn't know what to do. And there was no jobs available. Wilkes-Barre is a bad place. It's still bad. There's no jobs there. There was no jobs then. Oh, there is some coal mining, yeah. But who's gonna go to coal mine?
Yeah.
I had a couple classmates who were working while they were going to school. Terrible. Well, after that, I went to GI Bill. I went to college because I did graduate from high school, and I went to college. And after I went to college, I couldn't even find a job then. So I knew a politician, or somebody knew a politician, spoke up in my favor, and I got a job as a investigator. Oh yeah, I got a job at the IRS. So I quit that relief job. Then I was with the IRS, which was a good job, and I was talking to a friend of mine. He went to law school while he was working. He said, "Ted, go to law school. You can do it. You got a lot of Moxie." But so I said, "Well, I might as well try it, So I applied. I went to Seton Hall Law School, and I got my law degree, Doctor of Laws. I was 36 years old when I got my degree, my law degree. So I started maybe 4 years before that. Or I don't remember if it was 36 years old when I started. I think that's the way it was. I was 36 years old when I started law school, night school. It took me 5 years, I think. Newark, and I was living in Somerville, which was 30 miles away. And I was going practically every night to law school. I worked at the IRS until 1981. Then I went to private practice with a friend of mine who had an office in Somerville. So I worked there for 10 years and I gave everything up. I made my fortune. So, had a rough life. Huh?
You had a great life, it sounds like.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's not bad. You look backward, you know. Nothing serious happened to me.
Yeah.